In studio, we have Reserves IDF Brigadier General Israel Relik Shafir. He's the former commander of the Tel Nof Air Force Base and, of course, a former Top Gun pilot for the IAF. Ariel Osron, our Middle East correspondent, and Nicole Tzedek, our reporter, who's also reported quite a bit from up north. Maybe, Relik, tell us about the capabilities of the Abraham Lincoln and the meaning of that coming in to those Mideast waters as a potential deterrent, for example, against Iran.
An aircraft carrier does not arrive by itself. It's always a group of ships, some in submarines, who are actually protecting the carrier with anti-submarine warfare, electronic warfare ships, supply, and so on. The ship itself is loaded with squadrons of F-35s and F-18s, ready for air-to-air and air-to-ground attacks. The submarines around them have Tomahawk missiles, and they are poised to be used either for defense or offense in a very short notice. So they loiter around this part of the Middle East, close to the borders of Syria and Lebanon, so as to pose a threat to Hezbollah if need be. Same thing goes for the Fifth Fleet at the Straits of Hormuz, with the carriers and the submarines there and the ground F-22s that were deployed. So a lot of the U.S. force is in this area to actually to actuate the word "don't" to the Iranians and to Hezbollah, and also assure Israel that it will stand by it for defense needs.
Right. Deterrent to Hezbollah maybe for a big attack, but maybe not for an escalation of the type we've seen, for example, in their firing missile rockets at civilian communities on the Golan, something that they haven't done very often. And we saw how devastating that could happen, for example, in Majd al-Shams.
Yeah, as Relik said, this is basically the personification of the word "don't," just in the multi-billion-dollar version of it. But really, if we're looking at the aim of bringing this second carrier, which is intended to replace the current carrier, the Roosevelt, the Theodore Roosevelt, but for a while they will be together,
right.
And that is also part of the statement. At the end of the day, yes, these ships are not intended to stop the current cross-border fire between Israel and Hezbollah, but to prevent larger escalation, to prevent basically the threshold to cross the threshold into a regional war, because on these ships you have not only 4 flight squadrons, but you also have 1,500 Marines, and these combat strike groups, strike teams that are on this carrier and the accompanying destroyers. These are indeed offensive weapons, as Relik described, not only defensive but offensive weapons that can really signal deterrence. And so basically the goal is to not prevent further escalation, but they're not intended to stop the current uptick in tensions.
Right, you're certainly not going to see Marines in Lebanon anytime soon.